Hello everyone. Good evening. I hope all of you are doing well. Good evening everyone. I hope all of you are doing well. Good evening Devyanshu. Good evening Jinath. Good evening Shaheen. So yes, so I hope all of you are doing well. Now in the last session, last day also we have discussed about some of the topics, and today again we are going to discuss some of the important topics of the current affairs. Like you can see there is one topic. Happy Dhanteras to everyone. Yes, happy Dhanteras to everyone. So we have got this one topic which we are going to discuss today, right to privacy. That is our first topic which we will discuss. Second important topic is women in judiciary. So on this very topic, women in judiciary, we will see some of the key data, some of the key facts which are here with respect to this women in judiciary. So that is also one of the topic which we are going to see. Third thing which we are going to say is the role of urban areas in growth, that how they are contributing to the growth of the country worldwide. We will have some comparison. Now see, this topic is not directly a theme for the mains, but whenever you have to talk about urbanization, there you will find that this topic and the facts which we are going to see today, it is going to help you in writing those answers. So that is one of the topic, rise of urban areas in, or role of urban areas in growth. And then we will also talk about the model code of conduct, that what are the model code of conducts, normally what are they and how they come into picture. So that is one thing which we are going to see. Okay. So now just let us start with this. Let us see some questions. I think all of you have gone through this question. It is quite popular one. Right to privacy is protected under article of the Constitution of India. Under which article of the Constitution of India? You have Article 15, Article 19, Article 21 and Article 29. So this is a very simple question, and I think you have gone through it multiple times. Yes. So right to privacy is one of the fundamental rights under the Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. So of course the answer here is Article 21, case Puttaswamy judgment. So it is in that context only that we are going to discuss the right to privacy today. Okay. Second question which is there, consider the following statement. We are going to discuss about model code of conduct. So I hope you know about the Election Commission of India also. The question is very simple. The Election Commission of India is a 5-member body. Union Ministry of Home Affairs decides the election schedule for the conduct of both general elections and by-elections. Election Commission resolves the dispute relating to splits or mergers of recognized political parties. Okay. So three options are there. Three statements are there. Election Commission of India is a 5-member body. Second is saying Union Ministry of Home Affairs decides the election schedule for the conduct of both general elections and by-elections. And third is saying the Election Commission resolves the dispute relating to splits or mergers of recognized political parties. So this is question number 2. What would be the answer? In 2024 PT also that question was there, right to privacy. Now see this question and tell me what would be the answer here. Avnish, Shatish and Jyoti are saying D option, that is 3 only. Anyone else? D option. I think all of you are going for this D option, or C option also from Anjali, 2 and 3. Okay. Anything else? D option. Think again about the question. Look at the question again. I think most of you would be very easily eliminating the first option. You know that Election Commission of India, even presently, it is a 3-member body, and it can be 1-member body also or a 3-member body also. So that first statement, I think all of you can easily eliminate that it is not the right answer. So this first option is wrong. So now this A option is gone here. Now you have option B, C or D. I've got few answers as option D and one answer is option C also. Other people, what would be your answer? What is your answer of this question? B option from Ankit, two only, okay. So this A option is not correct, that is true. Up. Then we have the option B, C and D. Okay. So I think most of the people has gone for option D only. Okay. See, yes. If we look at this Union Ministry of Home Affairs, it cannot decide the election schedule. Election schedule and all other things are going to be decided by the Election Commission of India. It is under its supervision that the elections are being conducted in India. So the conduct, supervision of elections, all other things, they are with respect to, they are under the power of this Election Commission. So this second option is also incorrect. The only correct statement is option 3. Hence the answer will be D option, that is 3 only. Okay. Moving on. Here we have one question. In India, judicial review implies the power of the judiciary to pronounce upon the constitutionality of laws and executive order. The power of the judiciary to question the wisdom of the laws enacted by legislatures. The power of judiciary to review all the legislative enactments before they are assented to by the president. The power of judiciary to review its own judgment given earlier in similar or different cases. So here we have question number 3, a question from 2017. In India, the judicial review. In India, the judicial review means what? The power of judiciary to pronounce upon the constitutionality of laws and executive order. Then we have this option, the power of judiciary to question the wisdom of laws enacted by the legislature. Third option is the power of judiciary to review all the legislative enactments before they are assented to by the president. And option D is the power of the judiciary to review its own judgment given earlier in similar or different cases. So what is judicial review? This is now an interesting question. You have got some similar option. So you have to tell me, what is the power of judicial review? What is the power of judicial review? One option is A option also, D also. Okay. Option D, the power of judiciary to review its own judgment given earlier in similar or different cases. Okay. Anything else? Now this is one question. I will still wait for answer. Srishti and Ankita saying option A. Shaheen, Avishant, maximum people are going for option D. I think this is one thing which you can definitely remove from here. The power of judiciary to review all the legislative enactment, that is a incorrect statement. Okay. Then second is the power of judiciary to question the wisdom of the laws enacted by the legislature. Wisdom cannot be questioned. Wisdom cannot be questioned. Okay. So see this two part, the power of judiciary to question the wisdom of the laws, that is not very much in the power of judiciary. They can simply talk about the constitutionality or not. Okay. The power of the judiciary to review its own judgment given earlier in similar or different cases. And then the power of judiciary to pronounce upon the constitutionality of laws and executive order. Okay. In this you will find that in the Indian Constitution, judicial review pertains to the first option, the power of the judiciary to pronounce upon the constitutionality of laws and executive order. So here the answer will be A option, that is the power of judiciary to pronounce upon the constitutionality of laws and executive order. So A will be the correct answer under this question. Question number second. Okay. Third was saying election commission resolves the dispute relating to a split or merger of recognized political party. It simply means, Ritesh, that if there is a political party, let us say that there is any political party, like you might have seen, Shiv Sena was there. It is split into two different factions. It has a splitted into two different factions, and now there was a dispute between them that who will be having the symbol, who will be having the name. So that dispute with respect to that party was resolved by the election commission. Okay. So this is about that only, that who will be resolving the dispute. Okay. Now, coming to the topic today, like right to privacy. Why we are talking about? Justice KGS Puttaswamy, he was one of the key petitioners in the right to privacy case. He has passed away at the age of 98. Okay. So Justice KGS Puttaswamy will be forever there in the history of India for this right to privacy. Okay. If you see this, he was appointed as a judge in the Karnataka High Court in 1977. He served as a judge until his retirement in 1986. Okay. So he has retired from this. He was as a judge in High Court, and he retired from there in 1986. So Justice KGS Puttaswamy, he was one of the major architect of this case, right, where we have got this right to privacy as a fundamental right under the Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. Okay. So see here. Okay. So this was a case which was Justice KGS Puttaswamy. He challenged the constitutionality of Aadhaar on the ground that it violated the right to privacy. So he filed a case in 2000. He filed a case in 2012, and that was challenging the constitutionality of Aadhaar. And on that basis, a decision was made by the Supreme Court in a unanimous motion. Unanimous means all the people agreed, and the agreement was that right to privacy is a fundamental right in 2017 itself. So KGS Puttaswamy will be remembered for that case. Okay. Now, if we talk about this right to privacy, what is the significance of this? How it is protecting us, or how it is protecting the citizens? The first thing is, right to privacy is protecting the people from unwarranted publicity. Okay. Like sometimes you might have seen that what we have seen that many a times the media or other people or even the government agencies are defaming some people or giving them unwarranted publicity, even though it is not required, or it may go against those persons. So sometimes you might have seen that if there is a case, without even knowing about the case, without even knowing about fully all the facts and everything of case, you might see that there is a media trial which goes on, or sometimes the information is leaked by the government agencies as well. So that is being protected under this right to privacy. People can ask about containing all those information, or withholding all those information under the right to privacy. Second thing is publicizing private affairs without legitimate public concern. Whatever a person is doing in his or her private life is not a matter of, if it is not a matter of public concern, it cannot be publicized. Okay. It cannot be publicized. Like suppose that there is a person and he might be doing something in his own private life which is not illegal, and he is a public figure. So right to privacy gives him this right that his private life cannot be brought into the public domain, or his private life cannot be discussed in the private domain. So that is also one thing, publicizing the private affairs without legitimate public concern. That is being provided by the right to privacy. The third angle which you can see it, misappropriation of one's personality. Okay. The government or the agencies or anyone cannot give misappropriations of one's personality. They cannot be defaming a person. They cannot be highlighting those informations which are harmful to the person. So this is also one thing. It protects the people from misappropriations of one's personality. Okay. And then wrongful intrusion into private activities. Like this is one of the major impactful thing. Okay. Right to privacy, if you look at this is the major impactful thing, that government cannot intrude into the private sphere of any person, or any agency or any part of the state cannot interfere into the private life, cannot go into the private life of people until unless there is a huge concern for the nation or the public. It means all those phone tappings and all other things, they are protected or prohibited under this right to privacy. Government cannot be having surveillance upon the citizens. Government or its agencies cannot be having the surveillance upon the people just because of this right to privacy. They cannot look into what the people are buying, what the people are selling, until unless it is a matter of public concern. What they are eating, what they are not eating, what they are wearing, what they are not wearing, what they are watching and not watching. All these things, until unless it is a public concern, is safeguarded by this right to privacy. Okay, so these all things are being provided under the right to privacy, that until unless there is a safety concern or a public concern or a national concern, government or its agencies cannot intrude into the private life of the people. So that is what is being provided under the right to privacy. Now, there is a limitation. There is a limitations also. If there is a legislative mandate, now suppose that Parliament has passed a law which allows the government to do certain things. Like let us say that tomorrow Parliament passes a law that the government can tap into anyone's phone without even obtaining any warrant. Now till the time that law is under force, the government can do it. Of course, the law can also be challenged in the Supreme Court or High Court, and that law can be quashed. That is a different thing. But for the time being, when that law is operational, then government can look into any of the matter which is provided under that legislative mandate. So that is one thing. Is pursuing a legitimate state objective. Like suppose there is a concern for the government, or there is a concern for the entire country, and for that objective, if the government is pursuing any such privacy intrusion, that is also allowed. For example, let us consider this, that government gets this info from anywhere, that there is a chance, there is a possibility that some people might be alleged in smuggling of some arms or weapons or narcotics or anything like that. In that situation, of course, the government will have this power to intrude into the private sphere of life, because that is a legitimate state objective. So for doing that, the government will have the power. The third thing is proportionate. Suppose that proportionate here means that if there is a serious concern, like in the same case, if there is a serious concern, like there may be a riot, or the person may be provoking some riots or some disturbance in any other thing, then the government may interfere. If a person is simply, like let us say that there is a person, a news reporter, who is simply telling something about the government, that government is not working well, there is a huge amount of corruption in the government or anything like that. So for that purpose, you cannot intrude into the public sphere, or you cannot enter into the private life of that person. But if the same person is causing some riots to begin or some public disturbance to begin, then government can intrude. So it must be proportionate, that what is going to be the impact of it. So accordingly we can say this. And the fourth thing is the least intrusive option to achieve the goal. So there are four conditions. Means if it is the least intrusive option, means suppose that government has got no other option, there is no other option to stop that crime or stop that thing from happening, then government can interfere there again, otherwise they cannot do it. So government can intrude into the private sphere of life under the four conditions. First is it has a legislative mandate, it has a pursuing a legitimate state objective. Third thing is proportionate to the impact of that action, and fourth is the least intrusive option for achieving the goals. So in these conditions, the government can go for pursuing any such a step which might intrude into the private sphere of any citizen. Okay, so that is right to privacy. Many things have been provided under this right to privacy after that judgment of case Puttaswamy case. Okay, So that is the first thing which you can see from here. Okay, like we all have seen that it is protected under Article 21 of the Constitution. So it is a fundamental right now. Okay, so like personal information, communication, decision, etc. All these things, they are part of the right to privacy, which we have discussed earlier also. So that is one of the case. That is one of the case which you must have knowledge about. That what are the conditions for breaching the privacy, and in what condition it cannot. Okay, so it must be proportionate. It must be under a legislative mandate. It must be there for achieving a legitimate state objective, or it is the least intrusive option. In these four conditions only, state can go for those actions which are harming the right to privacy of any citizen. So that is our first case which you should be aware about. You should read this like as many times as you can, because you can use that in writing answers also. Even in essay you can use them. So I hope this is clear first. The right to privacy here. Is it clear? Is it clear to everyone? Moving to the next topic. Moving to the next topic, that is women in judiciary. We have one thing called as women in judiciary. So now, if we look at this topic, women in judiciary, we have got some data here. Like we will see that women are very underrepresented in judiciary in our country. Let us see some data with respect to this. Okay. As of January 2024, if we are talking about Supreme Court of India, only 9.3% of judges in the Supreme Court are women. Okay. As of January 2024, only 9.3% of judges in the Supreme Court are women. The first women judge was appointed in 1989, almost 40 years after the court was established. So it is like till now, the number, like suppose that if 100 judges have been appointed in Supreme Court till now, so out of that only 9 have been women. It is not about the present composition. It is like from the beginning to present times, from the beginning to the present times, from the existence of Supreme Court to present times, only 9% of the judges have been women. Okay. It is not about the present status. It keeps on changing from time to time. But this data is about the historical part, that till now only about 9.3% judges in India have been women in Supreme Court. That is the first thing. Second thing you can see, if we talk about high courts, as of August 2024, 14% of judges in high courts are women, and only 2 high courts have women chief justices. Okay. So if we look at the high courts in the present times, what we see that 14% of judges in high courts are women, and only 2 high courts have women chief justices. Representation has increased from 11% in March 2022, but still many vacancies are there. So if we look at the higher judiciary, we can see that like we have got only like 14% or less than 10% of judges as women. So higher judiciary, high courts and Supreme Courts are not having that much representation. But now, if we look at the district judiciary, there is a much positive light there. Around 36% of judges in the district judiciary are women. Okay. So in the district judiciary, the figure is much more better, where at least 1/3 of the judges are women. So on this front, it is slightly good. But in the higher judiciary, where many things are being interpreted, see, what is the role of the higher judiciary? It interprets the laws, it goes for even giving the constitutional orders and everything. And there what we see that there is only the representation of only 10% or 14% or 9% women as judges. Okay. Then if we look at the bar council, which is the body of advocates, what we see, only 15% of enrolled advocates were women. Okay. In 2022, only 15% or 15.31% of enrolled advocates were women. Okay. So in this entire legal profession, what we see that first in the terms of women, in the terms of advocates, we have less number of women. In terms of judiciary, of course, we have a much better figure of around 36%. But if we talk about higher judiciary and the highest judiciary or the Supreme Court, the representation is again at a very minimal level. So this is one of the fact with respect to this. Okay. Why this lower representation? Why we are having this lower representation? The first thing is, of course, you know about the patriarchal society of India. Okay. That we have created a stereotype. We have created a stereotype that what is the suitable job for women. We have got this stereotype at what is the suitable job for women. Okay, so that is one of the stereotypes which happen there. Like mostly we are saying that office job or something which is less pressure causing or something where you don't have to deal with so many people, they are considered as jobs suitable for women as per the society. So that stereotype is also responsible for this. Second thing is the judicial infrastructure. The judicial infrastructure. If you go in various courts of India, although nowadays the things are improving, if you go in different courts of India, you will find that they do not have even suitable infrastructure. They do not have even suitable infrastructure, the washroom facilities, the basic amenities which are there, the drinking water and all, they are not available in many of the areas, in many of the district level courts. Of course, in high courts and other places, you find that these infrastructures are relatively better. And nowadays, even in other cases, we are seeing that the things are improving. But for a very long period of time, if we go just 10 years back, you can see that infrastructure is not very good and not that much suitable for women candidates. Okay. The third thing is lack of role models also. Now, you know that whenever we are talking about judiciary or other things, we have mostly the names of male judges coming up, or even if we talk about the Supreme Court or other things, we see that mostly the name of male judges are coming up. It is historically there that only the males have dominated. So there is a lack of role model also. If you talk about the top advocates in India also, if you talk about the top advocates in India also, you will find that mostly the name of males are there, mostly the name of male candidates are there, which is quite much famous. So we lack there also. There is a lack of this role model thing also, which we see in case of our country. Okay, which we see that there is no such role model also available. Okay, then we have the collegium system also. In the higher judiciary, there has been an allegation that collegium system is only choosing from some of the core group. There has been allegations about this, and since there is a lack of transparency, the allegations becomes more and more pronounced. It becomes more and more pronounced that only some people, only a few people are given this opportunity to become part of the higher judiciary. So that is also a challenging part why we have lesser representation of women in Supreme Court. Okay. So I hope this is clear. We have this global best practices. For example, we have this example of quotas and affirmative actions in France and Spain. In France and Spain, they are having these quotas that at least these many judges will be from female or from female category. Okay. So that is one of quotas and affirmative action which is followed in France and Spain. In the case of Canada, there is a balanced recruitment system. Again, this is like there will be a balance. There will be a balance according to the population and all other things, that how much will be from male and how much will be from female. So Canada is also having this option. Then there is a gender parity target also. Like Rwanda is there. It has got this gender parity target. Rwanda targets 50% representation of women in judiciary. So if you look at the global examples, you have some options here. Okay. Now, See, there is one thing. It is not that they will be asking you what or why there is lesser representation of women in judiciary. There is a very lesser chance, there is a very minimal chance that they will be asking about women in judiciary. But if they ask you about judicial reform or challenges in judiciary, do mention about the very minimal percentage of women in judiciary. Do mention about this, that women are quite underrepresented in judiciary in India. And then you can have some solution also. You can have some solution also from this point, that how we can improve. You have the option examples here also. So this is one part which you can use in writing the mains answer related to judicial reform. If you have that topic, challenges of judiciary in India, do mention about women underrepresentation in the judiciary, and then you have some examples of other countries also that you can use there. Okay. One reason is also it takes a lot of time to pronounce the judge's name. Pronounce the judge's name. Now, no comment about any judge, but see, you know that you cannot comment about any person specifically. Okay, but you can also criticize the judgment or anything like that. Okay, you can have constructive criticism of the judgment, but you cannot talk about any judge specifically. Okay, so this is one thing. Now, coming to the next thing, role of urban areas in the growth. Role of urban areas in the growth. So that is another topic which we are going to see. Okay. Now, see, what is the context here? If we look at the cities, if we look at buffering, is it buffering for everyone? Is it buffering for everyone, or is it going fine? Because on my screen it is showing perfectly, but let me know if it is buffering. It's fine. Bharati, you can check your connection, because in front of me also the screen is there and it is not buffering. Okay. So see, role of urban areas in growth. Let us see that. Okay. Cities are responsible for over 80% of world's GDP. From here itself, reservations can impact quality. Yes, of course it can impact quality, but the thing is, in 70 to 80 years, if you have not been able to provide the equality for all the gender or all the sections of society to have the same quality, then it's the fault of the government. You must have that option, that in 75 to 80 years there should have been no such need of reservation. If you have not been providing that, why it is there that women are still not there in judiciary? Why you have not created a system like that, that women are there in judiciary or for any section? If reservation is there, and if government says that reservation impacts quality, so why you have not done anything in the last 80 years to make sure that there is no requirement of reservation? So until unless you provide that, you will have to make a balance. Until unless you provide that, you have to make a balance. Okay. So that is one thing. Cities are responsible for about 80% of world's GDP. Second thing is, in India, cities contribute 63% of GDP, and this is expected to rise to 75% by 2030. So if there is any question about urbanization, see, this is not a direct topic for mains or anything, but here we are adding some topic with respect to urbanization. That what is the significance of urbanization? Globally, the cities are contributing about 80% of the world's GDP. If we look at India also, around 63% of India's GDP is coming from cities, and it is expected that by 2030 it will go up as high as 70%. Okay. Then cities are considered more productive than rural areas, and like, see, why they are considered more productive? Why cities more productive? Why cities are more productive? They have better use of technology. Okay. Use of technology. optimum utilization of human resources, optimum utilization of human resources. Then we have also diversification of opportunity, diversification of opportunity. So all these factors are there, all these factors are there which are contributing to more productivity, and cities have higher productivity per capita as well. Okay, for example, Tokyo, which produces 34% of Japan's national GDP and has got only 26.8% of population. Even in India, we can see our cities. If we talk about the Indian cities, they are having around 35 to 40% of population. That is 35 to 40% of population, but they are contributing near about 63 to 65% of GDP. Okay, so their contribution to population is less, but their contribution to this GDP is higher. Okay, so what we see that in case of Indian cities also, population and GDP ratio is quite different. Population is just around 35 to 40%, or the GDP contribution is like 63 to 65% of GDP. That means urban areas are the growth part, or the urban areas are responsible for the growth of country's GDP. They are the growth centers of the country. You can say that cities, they are the growth centers of country. Okay. Now, at the same time, like if you look at the sectors which are there, if you look at the sectors, we have one of the sector, agriculture and agribusiness sector. We have three things: primary, secondary, and tertiary. So if you look at the agriculture and agribusiness sector, so urban areas demand for processed food and organic products. There is a demand for the processed food or organic products in the cities. So it is creating a demand for the agricultural sector. Okay. And the rural areas, they are basically the primary drivers of agricultural production. So there is a demand supply link. Okay. The demand is toward this, yes, they are creating the demand. These urban areas, they are creating the demand here, and they are supplying the things from here. So demand and supply thing is going on in the case of urban and rural areas. Okay. Second thing, if we look at the service sector and employment, urban areas, there are multiple service sector like IT, finance, retail, education, health, and so many. But in rural areas, you will find that the service sector has got limited opportunities. Nowadays, even the rural areas are creating some service demand, but it is quite limited. In the case of this industrial and manufacturing sector also, you will find that the urban areas act as hub for industries, whereas the rural areas are providing materials like the raw materials or the minerals, etc., etc. So if you look at the urban and rural areas, you will find quite contrast in their sectors and their roles in this development. Overall, the urban areas are considered as the centers of the development. Now, if we talk about the challenges, what are the challenges in urban areas? One of the major challenges is overpopulation, traffic congestion, housing shortage, and pollution. We have got the challenges in forms of overpopulation. The Indian cities, they are quite much overpopulated. Okay, they have huge density. For example, if you look at the density of Delhi, it is like more than 11,000 people per square kilometer area according to 2011 census. There has been no such census in the last 15 years or 14 years. But even then, if we look at even the 2011 figure, it was like 11,000 people per square kilometer. In Arunachal Pradesh, it is like 17 people per square kilometer. So from there, you can compare how much difference is there. In any other part of the country also, you will find that the population density is quite lower. But in the cities, we have huge amount of We have huge amount of overpopulation. Then we have got the traffic congestion also, housing shortage also, and pollution as well. Okay. So this is one thing. How we can solve this problem? Now suppose that if we have this challenge of overpopulation, how we can solve? We can create tier 2, tier 3 cities development. The smaller urban areas, they need to grow. They need to grow so that there is lesser burden on the metropolitan areas or the metro cities. That is one of the thing. Second thing is, if we can also go for another thing, horizontal expansion of cities. Horizontal expansion of cities. The cities also need to grow a little bit. They need to be horizontally expanded. Then only the congestion can be removed. Okay. There is another thing, traffic congestion. Traffic congestion can be solved by this public transport system. Public transport. If there is an efficient public transport system, then they can again manage this congestion problem. Then housing shortages. We have the option Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana or lower income group flats, middle income group flats, the various type of schemes which are there by the municipalities or by the local governments. Okay. Then pollution. We know that pollution has multiple options. If we talk about pollution, it requires a broad, comprehensive solution. Broad solutions. Okay. Starting from going towards green industries, going towards green fuel also, going towards green transportation also. So all these things can be done in order to address the challenges of urban areas. Okay. So that is one part. Then we have the rural challenge also. We have the challenge in rural areas also. If urban areas are the growth centers, why not the rural areas? The rural areas are suffering in terms of infrastructure deficit. They do not have that much infrastructure. If infrastructure is created there, they can also become the source of growth of the country. Second thing is lower productivity. Lower productivity due to lack of skills, due to lack of technology. Due to lack of skill, due to lack of technology, that can also be improved. Third thing is inadequate social services like hospitals, education facilities, insurance, and all other things. They are missing there. So that is also something which can be arranged. Okay. Like if there is rural development programs which can focus on sustainable agriculture, MSME, and market integration, even the rural sectors can become the source of growth in the country. They can also become the growth hub of the country. So on one hand, we have the urban areas which are contributing more, but they are also having their own challenges. On the other hand, the rural areas are there. They are also having this. Challenge, and they can be solved as well. Please explain about tier 2, tier 3 cities. See, when we are talking about tier 2 or tier 3 cities, it means we are defining them in terms of population. We are defining them in terms of population. Like you will find that if there is more than million of population and all the facilities and everything, they are considered as tier 1 cities. Like you have the Delhi and all other regions, or even you have Noida and all other places. So they are considered as tier 1 cities. Then you have other smaller cities. For example, let us say Meerut is there, or let us say or example, let us say Rohtak is there, or any other thing. They will be considered as tier 2 cities, which are having lesser population, lesser amenities. And similarly, if we go with lesser population and much lesser amenities, they will be called as tier 3 cities. Okay. So it is, I will give you the criteria, exact criteria in the next session also, but it is according to population and the amenities level which is there. Okay. So that is our rural versus urban areas. Okay. Rural area challenges, how to reduce. Just see here. Like if we talk about infrastructure deficit, one of the challenges infra. So how we can reduce this? one of the major challenge with respect to infra is about the road infrastructure, about the electricity infrastructure. So those are the challenges which we have to provide, okay, which we have to solve. Like Pradhan Mantri Gram Awas Sadak Yojana, that is one thing which we can provide. The rural electrification and even supply of electricity, not just electrification, the supply of electricity also needs to be ensured. Okay. Then there are certain areas which are flood prone areas or other things. So they also need to have all weather connectivity roads or bridges or other things which can give them this option to like continue their operations even in times of natural adversity. Okay. So that is the first thing. Lower productivity, how we can solve this? Skill and technology, skill and technology that we can provide. Inadequate social service, so provide for health, education. Etc. So that is what we have to provide here. Skill and technology, they are the two major requirements of the rural areas. If you provide them the skill and technology, things will automatically be on the track. Okay. So these are urban versus rural areas. Okay. Now let's come to the next article. In rural areas, we need lot of changes and well implementation. Yes. See, for any of the areas, whether this is urban areas or rural areas, the challenges in the present times is not the lack of policies. In any part of the country, it's not that we are not having policies, we are not having the schemes. Even if 40 to 50% of these schemes are implemented in a full manner, you will find that the face of India, the progress of India will change enormously. The major challenge, of course, is the implementation of the schemes. And for that only, you all are preparing for the examination. And I hope that when you go in that position, you will be implementing those schemes with much more vigor, with much more dedication than has been done in the past. Okay. So that is one thing. Then we have this model code of conduct. We have this one thing, model code of conduct. So we have seen that now elections has been announced in Maharashtra and Jharkhand. We have rural areas, which type of economic sector to more attention. Simply we can focus on agriculture and agro processing industry. That is the key area. Okay. So I hope that when you are going there, when all of you are going there, you will be working in a better manner. Agriculture and agro processing industry, that is the main sector for many of the villages. In some villages it can be also the mineral sector. In some villages it can be different sectors also, based on what is being cultivated there, based on what is being done in that village. Some of them can be rich in mines or minerals, some of them can be rich in agriculture, some of them can be rich in some skills. So there is a linkage of marketing, there is a need of identifying the main area of that village and then focus on that. So it can be done by the local government only. It cannot be decided by Delhi, it cannot be decided by the capital city of the state. It has to be done locally. The local administration, the district administration, or the local area, the local government of that area, the panchayats and all, they need to focus about this. Okay. Now, coming to the third part, model code of conduct. So we have got the election commission. We have got the election commission and it has announced the dates for upcoming assembly elections in Maharashtra and Jharkhand. So again, we were just having the elections in some of the states. We had one elections. See, why elections are one of the major debatable topic in India. You can see we have a general election this year. While the general election was going on, we had also elections in some other states, like Odisha also was going through elections. Then after, we had now elections in portions of Manipur, and in Manipur also, in Jammu and Kashmir also, in other areas also. Then again now we are having elections in Maharashtra and Jharkhand. So 1 year, and you can see 3 different phases of elections. And you will see that whenever the election is going on, the entire national media and all other people, they are concerned just about the result of the elections, the campaigning of the election. So our country is there, of course, in a perpetual election mode. Okay. We have the general elections, then the elections in other states, then again we are having elections. At least these three phases of elections could have been clubbed together. At least these three phases could have been clubbed together so that we didn't have to go through the elections again and again. Okay. Acha, you are also having the duty. Fine. Okay. Now, so first thing is, now we have got this model code of conduct. We have the first thing, general conduct. So normally we will see that what are the normal conducts or model code of conduct in India. First thing is general conduct. No hate speech or personal attack towards any of the candidates or any of the people. That is the first thing. Respect for opponents and no bribing or intimidation. So these three things are there as a part of general conduct. No hate speech or personal attack, respect for the opponents, and no bribing or intimidation. Okay, means you cannot be threatening anyone. Second thing is meeting and campaigns. So if anyone is going for any meeting or campaign, they must get the permission for the rallies. No disruption to public order, and no uses of temple, mosque or churches for meetings or campaign. That is also part of the model code of conduct. Okay. Then government actions and announcement. Ban on new schemes and policies. No transfer of officials. No misuse of public resources. Okay. So these are some of the guidelines that during the model code of conduct, what is being done. No hate speech or personal attack, respect for the opponents, no bribing or intimidation. Second thing is permission for rallies, no disruption to public order, no uses of temple, mosque or churches. Third thing is ban on new schemes or policies, no transfer of officials, no misuse of public resources. Okay, so that is one part. Then media and social media regulations. So it says that the model code of conduct says that there must be equal access to media. The paid news regulation is also part of this model code of conduct, and social media guidelines are also being issued from time to time that what you can do, what the social media companies can't do. Okay, so that is also part of it. Then there is a polling day and polling booth. They also have this thing. Okay, a silent period is there. Campaigning must end 48 hours before the polling begins as per section 126 of Representation of People Act. Okay. So suppose that if there is any such elections, let us say that election is there on 1st of November. So suppose if election is there on 1st of November, then on 31st and 30th, there should not be any such election campaign, or campaigning must end 48 hours before the polling beginning. Okay. Then there is no canvassing near the polling booths. Okay. So you cannot canvass the people, you cannot guide them what to do or which party to vote or anything. So that is not allowed. Observers and agents are of course provided, that whenever the election is being conducted, there are observers and agents who are present there. Observers of those who are neutral observers, and at the same time agents of political parties or the candidates, they are also there at the polling booth. Okay, so that they can look into if the election process is going on smoothly or not. Okay, so that is one thing. Then we have this opinion and exit polls. Ban on publication of exit poll is also there. Okay, so during this campaign period, like before the announcement of model code of conduct, you can have opinion polls or anything, exit polls. But the time when election is going on, during that phase, you cannot have the exit polls or opinion polls. Okay, you cannot have the opinion polls or exit polls during that time. Whatever you have to do it before this model code of conduct. And how the model code of conduct comes into picture? Like suppose if Election Commission of India announces the date of election, from that moment itself the model code of conduct comes into picture. Like suppose if today the Election Commission of India is announcing, if it is announcing the election in any of the state, then from that day itself the model code of conduct is applicable now till the date of last election. So this is when the model code of conduct comes into picture. Okay. from the date of announcement of election to the date of last election. That is the time when model code of conduct is implemented, and after that, that restriction is over. Okay. So this is one of the, these are some of the parts, about this model code of conduct. Okay. They are basically the set of guidelines which are issued by the election commissions, and it regulates the political parties, candidates, government, all other things. They are being regulated by the Election Commission of India. Can you tell me, like, of course the Election Commission has issued this. Election Commission of India has issued the model code of conduct. But who has framed it? Has it been framed by Parliament or by whom? How this model code of conduct comes into picture? Who all are involved in designing and defining these model code of conducts? Can you tell me who all are involved in this process, in the model code of conduct? Election Commission of India is there, that says that yes, this election model code of conduct is now applicable. Apart from Election Commission of India, who all will be there? See, remember one thing, model code of conduct is a set of guidelines, which is of course published by the Election Commission of India, but it is not only the recommendation of Election Commission of India. It is basically a set of guidelines which has evolved through the all party consensus. Means all the major political parties who are contesting the elections, they have themselves led to evolution of this model code of conduct. Okay. The ACI conducts regular meetings with them, and on the basis of this, the model code of conduct is prepared. Okay. So there is of course the involvement of the political parties, there is involvement of the candidates in designing and drafting of these model code of conducts. So it is basically the statements by the political parties itself that okay, what must be there to ensure a free and fair election. Okay. Yes, it is also very much true that these are being defied or these are being violated by the political parties or candidates. But it is also true that they have evolved through the consensus of the political parties. These are not simply the dictats of the Election Commission. They have evolved through a consensus process. Okay. So this is the model code of conduct of the elections which has evolved through the consensus of these parties. Okay. So it is not a dictate of the Election Commission simply. Okay. The parties have also become part of this. They have led to evolution of this model code of conduct. And then also you will find that they are the one who are violating these model code of conduct. Okay. So that is also one interesting thing about model code of conduct. Now, what you can see, the Election Commission, it is just monitoring the adherence to the MCC or model code of conduct. Okay. What it does, if any parties or candidate or official if they are violating the model code of conduct, then campaigning may be restricted or prohibited. Okay. So if any political party is there or if any candidate is there, they are continuously violating the model code of conduct, their campaigning can also be prohibited by the Election Commission of India. They can be restricted or prohibited for some time being. That is of course an extreme step, but yes, Election Commission can do that. Second thing is, the ECI can issue warning and repairments or even file FIR in severe cases. If they are violating it from time to time, even FIR can be filed against them. Suppose if they are using religion or hatred against any people, then FIR can also be filed against them. Okay. Then candidates violating this MCC may be disqualified under relevant sections of Representation of People Act 1951. So if someone is going for repetitive violation, they can be even disqualified or they can be even removed from that election process. So model code of conduct is being monitored. This adherence to model code of conduct is being monitored by the Election Commission of India. If anyone is violating, there can be strict actions against them as well. Okay. So this is how these are enforced and violated. Okay. Why they are necessary? First thing is ensuring a level playing field. Okay. In any election, what you will find that there is a party which is from government or which is representing the government, and then there are opposite political parties. So there must be a level playing field for all the political parties, even the new ones which are there. So that is why this model code of conduct is very much significant for all the people. Second thing is it is building the public trust, that yes, whether there are people who are the part of government or whether there is a new candidate or a new political party, all of them are on the same level playing field. They do not have any extra thing. They all will be having the same options. They will be all having the same rights and same power. Third thing is it promotes peaceful elections. You can see that in India, there is one very significant part of Indian elections, that even if the political parties or the candidates are winning or losing by a very narrow margin, even of 1 vote or 2 vote or 10 votes, even then there is a peaceful announcement of that result and people accept that. Okay. People accept that. Of course, there is recounting and all. But even with just 1 vote or 2 votes or 10 votes, people have lost the elections, and then also they have gracefully accepted this. Okay. Then we have, it also prevents the misuse of power by the government or any political parties or any influential candidates. So that is the significance of this model code of conduct: building the public trust, promoting peaceful elections, then preventing misuse of power and ensuring a level playing field. They are the significance of this model code of conduct. Can you tell me what are the challenges? Can you tell me what are the challenges for this model code of conduct? Anyone? Can you tell me what are the challenges of this model code of conduct? You all have gone through this election, you have gone through many such editorials and articles. Can you tell me what are the challenges for the model code of conduct? Lack of awareness in people. Okay, anything else? One thing is, of course, lack of awareness in people. That illiteracy and lack of awareness can be clubbed together. Anything else? See, there is one thing: monitoring lack due to very few officials under ACI. See, Election Commission of India is having only a few people with them. They are not having the entire mechanism working for them. This model code of conduct is not being properly monitored because there is no such enforcement mechanism in full form. Okay. ACI doesn't have its own staff. ACI depends on government staff. Okay. ACI is not having its own staff. ACI is depending upon the government staff, and the government is also participating in the election. Okay. So then there is a challenge. First of all, they are having fewer number of people, and even those fewer number of people, they are the government agents or government staff. So that is also one of the challenge. Okay. Then, of course, it is very much difficult. It is, of course, very much difficult to prove it. Okay. Difficulty in proving violations of model code of conduct. How you prove that? how you give the evidence and everything. That reporting mechanism and that even the proving mechanism is one of the challenging part. Okay. So these are some of the concerns. At the same time, lack of awareness about model code of conduct, and finally that lack of ethics in politics, that is also there. Ethical values in politics. So these are all some of the challenges why there is lower enforcement or lower effect of the model code of conduct. Okay. Yeah, lack of resource is also there. So these are some of the challenges with respect to model code of conduct which needs to be overcome. The, the election commission needs its own staff. Even the other officials who are there, they must be trained in such a manner that for the time being, for 1 month or 2 months when the election is going on, they will report only and only, or they will have just this authority of the election commission. Okay. Second part is this difficulty in proving violations. So there must be, like nowadays you find that even the election commission is getting the recordings of all the public meetings or rallies of people. So that recording and everything can be made much more concrete so that proving the violations becomes easier. So that is also something which can be done, and lack of awareness about this MCC can also be solved. People awareness is the major thing. If people become aware about it, then even the leaders will hesitate to violate any such moral code of conduct. And then the ethical values, they need to be instilled in the politicians, they need to be instilled in the society as a whole, so that society changes and the politics changes. Okay. This can be a question from mains also. Like, let me give you a question. Discuss the significance of model code of conduct in ensuring free and fair elections. Free and fair elections. Highlight the challenges. Highlight the challenges with respect to model code of conduct. Okay. So I hope you will be writing this. I will ask you at least some of the options, like what you have written, the main points. So try to have that with you in the next session. I will ask you about this. Okay. So thank you everyone. Let's meet tomorrow at the same time. For UPPCs, don't worry about it. I will be having the sessions starting in the next week perhaps, and then after we will talk about it. Okay. So thank you so much everyone, and let's meet in the next session. Then we will discuss about it. Thank you everyone and take care. Good night.